Chapter 23, Kaitou Magician and the Diamond Necklace. Lee's apartment complex. Early school morning. Tapping his foot impatiently outside the bathroom, Syaoran shouted across the door, "Are you finished yet? You've been in there for an hour." Wait! Sakura called from inside, the running water drowning her voice. After another while, Syaoran shouted, "That's it! If you're not coming out this second!" He grabbed the doorknob again. Shrieking, Sakura threw a bottle of shampoo at Syaoran's face with full power, shouting, "I'm taking a shower right now!" Ouch! Syaoran dropped backwards and the bathroom door slammed shut. Yawning, Melanie came out of her bedroom in her light yellow pajamas and asked, "What is all the commotion? I can't get my beauty sleep." Rubbing a bruise from that was forming on his forehead, Syaoran stood up from the floor and grumbled, "I've been waiting an hour to use my own bathroom." Trying to stifle a giggle, Melanie replied solemnly, "And you tried to go in while she's taking a shower? Ew! I can't believe you tried to go in while Sakura's taking a shower. It's not like that." Finally, Sakura came out of the steaming bathroom in an oversized blue t-shirt and jeans with the ends folded up 5 times. Her hair was tied into a perfect ponytail high on top of her head with a pretty red ribbon lent by Melanie. "Sorry I took so long, Syaoran-kun. Is your head okay? I didn't mean to throw the shampoo bottle at your face." "Yeah, right," muttered Syaoran, fingering his purple bruise. "It's my first day back to school in a couple days, so..." Sakura smiled, the golden highlights in her hair brought out by the new ribbon. Meanwhile, Syaoran sighed in exasperation. She did look good, though. When she first came to their house a couple days ago, she looked half dead. Now, she looked like her old self. "Oh yeah, Melanie-chan, do you mind if I borrow one of your school uniforms?" Sakura asked pleadingly. She hadn't had time to go pick up some clothes at her house yet. Her foot, though still swollen, was almost healed with the help of Syaoran's healing spells. It still hurt once in a while when she was tired, but she could move around almost normally. Still, the incredible pain that she'd endured that night when she faced the Joker was vivid in her mind, maybe slowing down the process of healing slightly. Yet, Sakura was eager to go back to school, especially after staying home at the Lees for 2 days. She'd been bored to death. Jokingly, Melanie asked, "What will you do if I don't lend you my clothes?" "Hoi!" Looking down at her oversized clothes, Sakura sighed and pulled up the jeans, which were sagging again. In the past few days, Melanie had wickedly refused to lend her some of her clothes. Instead, she was lent Syaoran's clothes, which were hopelessly big on Sakura. After all, he was taller than her. "Why does she have to wear my clothes?" he had protested. "After school, we'll go to your house and pick up some of your stuff," Syaoran said. "On second thought, that is, if you promise to limit your time in the bathroom to 30 minutes. "Oh, sorry." School. Tomeo was thrilled when she heard Sakura's news at school and turned ecstatic. "What? You're staying at Syaoran-kun? You should have told me that your brother and father and Kiro-chan's all away. You could have stayed at my mansion. There's plenty of room. Oh, is your ankle all right? Oh, I can't believe it. You're staying with Syaoran-kun. With the Melanie-chan as well. And don't say it so loud. People might get the wrong idea." Sakura sweat dropped. And a sly whisper Tomeo asked, "So, what type of pajamas does Syaoran-kun wear at night? Blue, green, stripes, hearts? What kind of question is that?" Sakura flamed red. "For your information, he doesn't sleep at night anyway," Melanie informed them. Then she turned star-eyed. But I remember when we were 5, he used to have the cutest blue pajamas with teddy bears on it. I had a matching red one. Really? They giggled. Why are you guys staring at me like that? Syaoran scowled suspiciously as he looked up from his work. Nothing, they all echoed. It's good to be back at school and be active, Sakura thought. It's a good thing the Joker hasn't been seen since that night. Kaitou Magician, Thief of the Night, strikes again. Nako read off the headline of the Tomata morning newspaper. This time, he was seen at the museum where Queen Lysiane's diamond necklace was exhibited. But he didn't steal anything and disappeared before anyone could even get near him. Kaitou Magician? Sakura frowned, remembering how they had met last time. Tomeo asked, I wonder why he's in this neighborhood. There's not too much to steal here. There's something strange about all this, Syaoran said, sitting down in a chair next to Sakura. I think we better find out more about that thief. Romeo, it's rehearsal time. Malin jumped from behind Syaoran, who was seriously thinking, why does he have my father's ring? Gah! You scared me! Is your leg okay enough to practice your routine for the circus carnival? Asked Tomeo later on that day to Sakura. The circus carnival is going to be held in a few days. It's too bad I wasn't there to tape Syaoran's marvelous scene, crashing through the window to save the girl he cares for. There's something hopelessly romantic about the guy knowing when the girl is in danger, merely by instinct, like a beautiful shoujo manga. Still, maybe the hidden camera installed in your house taped it. Glancing at Sakura's bandaged leg, she added, Oh, sorry, I feel bad about the accident and all, but it's okay. My leg's good enough to practice on. Thanks to Syaoran-kun. Isn't Syaoran amazing? He learned healing spells after he went back to Hong Kong. I wonder why. Tomeo placed her hand on her cheek. Sakura sweat dropped. Tomeo seemed back to her old self. Little did she know that at Tomeo's house, it was currently in turmoil. Tomeo-chan? Yes, Sakura-chan? You seem a little different. Is something the matter? You look tired. It's nothing, really. I'm just tired because I'm really busy these days. Tomeo sighed. She really hated keeping secrets from Sakura, yet sometimes there are things that even your best friend can't understand. Flashback to a few days ago at Tomeo's house. Picking up her phone, Tomeo said, Hello? Hello, Tomeo-san. A deep man's voice hesitated, then continued brightly. So, how are you these days? Next year you'd be in high school, wouldn't you? My, how fast you grow. Her heart skipped a beat. Oto-san? Abruptly, Tomeo asked, Why did you call me? Why? Daidoji-san, her father, seemed baffled on the phone. I just wanted to talk to my daughter and keep up with how you've grown. It's a little too late for that, isn't it? Tomeo was surprised at the iciness in her voice, so unlike her normal tone. Dismayed, he continued, It was nice hearing from you, Oto-san. Thank you for showing concern, but please don't bother calling again. I don't need a father like you, and don't bother Mother either. She has enough troubles without you. I'm sorry. Slowly, Tomeo clicked off the phone. Wait, Tomeo-san, Daidoji-san was greeted only with the beeping on the other side. Flopping back on her lacy bed, Tomeo gazed up at the ceiling. I don't need a father. I've lived all these years without one. In my memory, I can only see my mother. Of course, she was always busy with her work when I was a child, but she loved me. And there's my best friend, Sakura-chan, Syaoran-kun, Melanie-chan, all my friends. I don't need a father, yet why do I feel like crying? I never cry, because I remember my mother once saying proudly to her friend that when I was little, I didn't cry. Maybe like Syaoran-kun. We have that in common. I don't want to show this up to Sakura-chan, but I want to talk to someone who can understand me. She dialed some numbers and placed the receiver to her ears. The tone began to ring. Iro-kun? Tomayo-chan? Tomayo-chan? Chiharu asked, holding a bench with Takashi. Where should we put the bench for the circus carnival equipment? Tomayo's flashback was interrupted. Huh? Oh, sorry, the bench. Why don't you put it... Oh, just leave it there. Okay. They sat the bench down right in the middle of the doorway, preventing people from moving in and out. To Takashi, Chiharu whispered, Tomayo-chan seems worried about something. Ah, a girl has many problems that she can't talk about, Takashi replied. Since when did you know that? Chiharu asked, thoroughly impressed. Ever since I met you in kindergarten, he answered, matter of fact. Whee! This is so hectic. Sakura turned spiral-eyed as students rushed here and there to prepare for the circus. She was busy catching up with missing 2 days of school. Some people were getting the decorations up, others practicing stunts, and still others adjusted costumes and props. Oh, sorry, Sakura-chan. Can you give the 3 magician costumes to Aaron-kun, Aki-kun, and Syaoran-kun, and the clown ones to Chiharu-chan and Takashi-kun, and then take the acrobat one to Melanie-chan. Keep the other one. The sequined ringmaster costume is for Arika-chan with the whip, and the pink and white stripe apron is for Nako-chan, and the gypsy skirt is for Arika-chan, Tomayo asked, fumbling in a swarm of colorful costumes. Okay. Looking doubtfully at the pile of clothes, Sakura began searching for the various students. Aaron-kun, Aki-kun, Syaoran-kun, here's your costumes. Sakura picked out the magnificent magician's costumes with the traditional black top, hat, and tails. For an exotic twist, Tomayo had added long, flowing capes as well. Probably, Tomayo had seen too much of the Kaitou Magician on the news. Shh, don't bother them, a bunch of girls said. Hoi? Sakura peered over the heads of various girls who were oohing and eyeing over something. She could hear a consecutive whooshing and thudding sound. How does he do that? Cool. It's like a real knife thrower. Syaoran was practicing knife throwing onto a board. Tied in the middle was a dummy, since the teacher wouldn't allow a real person to be used. Outlined around the dummy was neatly pinned knives. Arika, flipping back her glossy hair, then announced to the crowd of students, the next stage of the marvelous magician Blade Master. This time, Syaoran held 3 knives between the fingers of each hand and threw them out. Again, it sounded as it surrounded the dummy neatly. Everyone cheered. On the side, Tamaki told Sakura as he took the costume, he was hopeless at other magic tricks, so this is his backup performance. Really? Yep, Lee-san. Do the card trick on Kinomoto-san, Tamaki said, winking at her. Do I have to? Reading the magic trick book, Syaoran held out a deck of cards to Sakura. Pick a card from the deck and I'll guess what it is. She picked out a card, the Ace of Hearts. Still looking in the book, Syaoran read out loud in a flat voice. Now I will look in your mind. Remember what the card is and put it back into the deck. You may shuffle it. Sakura shuffled the deck and handed it back to him. With a straight face, Syaoran looked through the cards. Everyone waited. Perspiring, he continued to look through the cards. Oh, what the heck am I supposed to do? Finally, holding up a card, he asked, was it the King of Diamonds? All the girls cheered. Wow, incredible! Oh, he's really great at it. Lee-kun is amazing! Sweat dropping, Sakura replied, No, it was the Ace of Hearts. Syaoran sweat dropped after her and hung his head down. Adon commented, "See, he's really hopeless at it." Taking a top hat, he twirled it around elegantly, and out of it fluttered several pigeons. Again, everyone cheered. "Now that's how you're supposed to do it," Adon announced. "Wow, that's marvelous, Adon-kun." Sakura clapped, turning red. Syaoran exclaimed, I can do that too." Taking his top hat, he did an intricate trick of throwing it into the air and turning a flip to catch it. Then he ran a hand over the top of the hat, and everyone waited and waited and still waited. Syaoran peered into the hat. "Hey, the fake bottom is stuck." Just then, out fluttered a pigeon, pecking his hand. "Ouch!" Sakura giggled, but stopped when Syaoran glared at her. Aki caught the pigeon and handed it back to Syaoran, who looked dejected by his failure. At that moment, Sakura and Syaoran both straightened up. Out of the corner of their eyes, they saw a person leap from one roof to the next one. Together, they ran to the other side of the building, leaving everyone else in confusion. When they reached a secluded part of the school, they panted for breath, gazing up. From the top of a tree, a young man with black sunglasses slipped out. From head to toe, he was dressed in casual black, down to black gloves and black shoes. This time, he didn't have a cape on, probably since it was daytime. If he stepped into a crowd outside, he would look relatively normal. It was difficult to see his face because of the shadow of the tree, but his sandy-colored hair was spiked up, with only his long bangs let down, giving a rather devilish look. A silver skull dangled from a pierced left ear. From a chain around his neck hung a bright blue sapphire ring. The real live Kaitou Magician. I don't get it. Why does he have the star sapphire ring? Sakura frowned. For the first time, the Kaitou Magician spoke. His voice had a peculiar, smooth, elegant drawl to it, as if he could hypnotize his listeners with it. "I'd watch out if I were you," tilting his head to another section of the school. Then he jumped off the tree, over the school gate, and melted into the traffic outside. Before he completely disappeared, he called, "We'll see each other again soon." The only person Sakura knew that had such flawless athletic coordination was Syaoran. "Do you feel it?" Sakura asked as she tore her attention away from the Kaitou Magician, the mystery thief. "The Joker's out there again. We've got to prevent more accidents." Too late. When they reached the spot, the Joker had already disappeared. This time, it had only spilt the red paint all over the signs the students had been painting for the circus for 5 hours. "Sakura-chan, where were you? We've got to practice our number," Melanie exclaimed. "Okay." After practicing their acrobatic routine several times, Sakura remembered that she still hadn't finished handing out the costumes. By the end of school, Tomeo came up to her again. "Did you give everyone their costumes?" "Wee!" Sakura's sweat dropped, for she was still holding half a pile of clothes. "The Kaitou Magician, he's younger than I thought he'd be. Only a teen, I think," Sakura commented to Syaoran and Melanie as they made dinner. Carefully, she stir-fried the beef with vegetables. I wonder why he said we'd meet again soon." "That's not a worry. We've got to get Syaoran to learn some proper magic to perform at the circus festival, or else Adon-kun will laugh his head off at him," Melanie announced, stirring the soup. "I know proper magic," Syaoran replied, "but I can't very well go up on stage and do this, can I?" He let a flame of fire burst from the oven he was cooking at. "Or this." He let a spoon levitate into the air, then dropped it down into a bowl. "I know." Sakura jumped up enthusiastically. "Let's teach you a flower trick." She took out the flowery card and handed it to Syaoran. "I'll lend you this card so that you have plenty of flowers to practice with." "Can you lend cards like that?" Syaoran asked. "It's okay, since it's you." For a second, Syaoran looked surprised. So, she does trust me after all. Oh, Sakura, what kind of strange situation is this? Now, how exactly did she end up staying at my house? It was, in a ways, uncomfortable, sharing bathrooms, cooking, doing laundry, living in next door, seeing each other all day. Syaoran! Malin shrieked. For a second, Syaoran blinked as he heard a hissing from the oven with smoke swirling up. Ah, you just burned our dinner. Malin stamped her foot and pouted. Do you know how hungry I am? How could you do this? You've never burned our food before. We still have the soup. Never mind. At that moment, the overboiled soup, which was neglected by Malin, had flowed over the pot and spilt over the rim. That night, Sakura had another nightmare. Two young men faced each other, both having cloaks fluttering in the black night. A blue gem twinkled merrily in the darkness. Then, both figures disappeared in a swirl of flower petals. Shut up! She tried to run after him in vain. A girl dressed in a Chinese outfit with black pigtails on each side of her head glared at her. It's all your fault, Sakura. Then tears started streaming down her face. Didn't you know that I love Syaoran? It's all your fault. If you didn't exist, Syaoran would have always been there for me. I despise you, Kinomoto Sakura. Malin turned around and walked away. Wait! Dropping down on her knees, Sakura sighed. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. Sakura bolted up awake in the unfamiliar surroundings of the Lee guest room. Malin. Quietly, she walked out into the living room in her pale blue pajamas, colliding right into someone. Ouch! They both collapsed onto the floor. Who's there? A male voice demanded, quickly moving in a Chinese martial arts choking position with his arm around her neck. Gasping at the grip, she whispered, Hui! Let go! After a while, he asked, Sakura? Who else? What are you doing wandering around the house in the middle of the night? What about you? I asked first. I had a nightmare and I couldn't sleep. A nightmare? Yeah. I was looking for someone and I kept on calling that person's name, but he disappeared. I always dream different versions of it. This time, I saw the star sapphire ring and two people with the cloak and... Shh, don't get too excited. It's just a dream. Syaoran soothed. What were you doing? Me? I was thinking about how to get that ring back. I bet he stole it from Shin-san's mansion in New York. Did you think of a good plan? Not yet. See what I was practicing? I could finally do magic trick now. Eagerly, Syaoran said, Look at my hands. I have nothing, right? It's too dark to tell, Sakura replied honestly. Anyway, I go like this and here. Syaoran drew out a soft pink-colored Chinese peony, his favorite flower, from his fist. Smiling, Sakura took the flower, breathing in the deep, fragrant aroma. The flowery card always produced the most beautiful and fresh flowers. You've improved a lot. You were practicing this all night? Well, you don't like being beaten by Eran-kun, don't you? It's not like that. Stretching, Malin stumbled out of her room, switching on the living room lights. What is going on here? Then her eyes turned round to see Syaoran and Sakura almost on his lap, sitting on the living room floor. Jumping up, they shouted, It's not... Okay, what am I supposed to think when I find a boy and a girl sitting in the living room in the dark in each other's arms, Not only the first time either. I still remember at the camping trip. Syaoran, how can you do this to me? Malin ranted, pacing around the room with an aghast face. No, we just bumped into each other because of a nightmare, and I was practicing flowers, and it was dark, and we couldn't see. Syaoran stammered nonsensically, flushing red. Right. Malin shook her head in disbelief. That really makes sense. Anyway, I'm starving. I'll make something to eat. Syaoran stormed off to the kitchen. When he was gone, Malin nudged Sakura and whispered, "So, what were you two really doing?" Blushing at Malin, Sakura replied, "Nothing, really, nothing." Flipping back her jet black pigtails, Malin said, "So, tell me the truth, Sakura. You can be honest with me." Her reddish amber eyes gleamed mischievously. "What are your true feelings for him?" As if she had a bloater her stomach, Sakura asked, "What? Why would I like him?" Very funny. Her heart was pounding. Stretching, Malin asked, "Oh, then why were you jumping when I asked you that question?" The two girls stared at each other straight in the eye. What Malin saw in Sakura's clear emerald eyes, no one ever knew. At that moment, Syaoran ran up to them, drawing out his sword, and shouted, "The Joker's out there again!" Hui! Sakura dodged from the Joker, who was aiming dozens of juggling rings at her. Syaoran and Malin, both in their Chinese battle outfits, and she were on the roof of the Lee's apartment complex, dodging from the Joker's so-called playful tricks. Quickly drawing out his incantation paper, Syaoran said, "Fukushorai!" The Joker in his colorful clown clothes toppled over backwards. Striking down her staff onto a card, Sakura shouted, "Watery!" then prepared for another counterattack. At that moment, Malin tugged at Sakura's sweater sleeve and said, "Look over there!" Silhouetted by the moon, a lean figure stood on the roof of a building next to the apartment. As the three people's attention was focused on the Kaitou Magician, the almost defeated Sly Joker quickly disappeared. "For the last time, what do you want from us?" Sakura demanded, holding out her staff. Malin silently wondered what she could do with a staff against a thief. With a graceful leap, the Kaitou Magician landed onto the building, his black cloak fanning out in the wind. They were almost facing each other. It was too dark to see the thief's face, however. Yet Sakura had an unpleasant feeling that the Kaitou Magician's cold, keen eyes were fixed straight on her. With the flick of his hands, he sent out colorful streamers in all directions. "Eh!" Syaoran uttered before the streamers advanced towards him and rapidly tied him up. He couldn't move his arms. "How dare you do that to Syaoran!" Malin leapt up with a sidekick straight towards the Kaitou. "Give back the Lee clan's sapphire ring to Syaoran!" The Kaitou Magician continued to dodge Malin's rapid consecutive kicks and punches with ease. "Stop running away! Face me! Hi-ya!" Leaping into the air, Malin spun and kicked out her right leg. With a smooth sweep of his arms, Kaitou sent out a flock of white doves from inside his cloak, which started chasing the shrieking Malin around the whole roof. "Ah! What are you doing with these disgusting birds? Get rid of them!" Then he focused all his attention onto Sakura. He pointed a black-gloved finger at her and flicked it up. To her surprise, she felt something unfasten and slip from her neck. Her hand flew to her neck, where she always wore the necklace that Syaoran had secretly given her for Christmas. The Kaitou Magician grinned. Floating in front of Sakura was her luminous crystal necklace, the starry light embedded in it glowing, and the silvery chain dangling mid-air. He gathered his fingers up into a fist in front of him, and the necklace sped up to him. As the thief of the night was about to grab the necklace, several silver streaks flashed by his hand. The Kaitou looked up in surprise. Syaoran had escaped from the streamers that tied him up and had darted several of his circus carnival prop knives at him. The necklace dropped softly to the floor of the roof. "Did you come here to steal that necklace?" Syaoran demanded. The thief's gaze shifted from Sakura to Syaoran. "Why, it's only a crystal necklace. It's mine!" Slowly, Sakura walked to pick up her necklace. "Only a crystal necklace?" The Kaitou Magician laughed. "God, do you know what it's worth? I've had the hardest time finding it. but now I finally found it. It will be mine. With an iron grip, he grabbed Sakura's arm. She cringed over, holding onto the necklace and refusing to let go of it. Let go! It's mine! Syaoran gave it to me. It's my most valued possession. Nobody will understand what kind of blissful joy I felt when I walked out that Christmas morning. This necklace was inside a green balloon. It's very precious to me and gives me warmth when I hold it because he gave it to me. Sakura held the necklace tighter. The sound of police sirens prevented the Kaitou Magician from forcing the necklace away, and he looked down the roof warily to see the police cars, muttering some unintelligible curses. Finally, having escaped the persistent doves, Melanie jumped from behind, shouting, "Give Syaoran back the ring! It's an Lee heirloom!" Instead of dodging, Kaitou flicked out his hand and caught Melanie's wrist, doubling it over. She wiggled and shrieked, "What are you doing? Let go of me!" Paying no heed, he bound her with some thick, strong ribbons and kept a hold on her. The sirens were growing even louder. "Let go of Melanie!" Syaoran leapt forward, whipping out a top hat. The Kaitou Magician tipped it onto his hat in a sign of farewell, and with Melanie disappeared into the air with a swirl of white roses. His cloak was last to disappear and swirled around the two figures. "Syaoran!" Melanie called before being covered by the black cloak. "Melanie-chan!" Sakura stretched out a hand, but it was too late. The notorious mystery thief, Kaitou Magician, had disappeared, taking Melanie with him. It's all my fault. If I just given up the necklace, he wouldn't have taken Melanie-chan. Now we don't know where she is, what's being done to her, or when we'll ever see her again. We don't even know if she... Sakura gulped. Lifting his head from his arms, Syaoran said softly, after a sleepless night, It's not your fault. If it's anyone's fault, it's the Kaitou Magician's. I'll get him. You'll see. Don't pressure yourself. Her lower lips trembling, she held back tears. Sakura replied, "I feel like sitting on the floor and crying, but..." She smiled a little. "But he always told me that crying will get me nowhere and that there's no use in crying. Being a baby won't get Melanie-chan back, so I'm not going to cry. I'm going to be brave and get my friend back because inside I know Melanie-chan will be fine." This time, Sakura felt sure she would not cry. "You're brave, Sakura, and you're right. Melanie will be fine." For the first time, Syaoran actually looked cheered up. Terrible thoughts flitted through his mind that previous night, worrying about what the Lee clan would say if they found out that it was only minor. He and Melanie grew up together. She was his cousin and had been his friend for 10 years. Though she often badgered him and always had to have her own way, she still was a very precious person to him. When Tomeo found out later that Melanie had been kidnapped by the Kaitou Magician, she was shocked. "He wanted your necklace, Sakura-chan, and he took Melanie-chan? Then comically she stated, "Isn't it like a romantic movie? The mysterious, handsome young thief with a dark reputation kidnaps a teenage girl and falls in love." Sweat dropping, Syaoran and Sakura said, "Tomeo." Oh, sorry. This isn't a good situation to think of romance. Well, I have a good idea, though. I think we better find out some background about the Kaitou Magician, and the best place to do it is the library. Patiently, Sakura sorted through the microfilms in the library, finding hundreds of international headline news stories about the infamous thief, Kaitou Magician, with his magic-like escapes and unbelievable perfect smoothness. Meanwhile, Syaoran was reading through the data in the computer and taking notes. At another table, Tomeo read the current newspapers about Kaitou Magician ever since he appeared in Japan. Basically, they found out that the Kaitou Magician first made his debut in Tokyo about 1.5 years ago, though he may have prowled in different cities previously. In a matter of months, he had made the world's top 20 most wanted criminal list, having been spotted all over the world from Tokyo, Hong Kong, Paris, Rome, London, and most recently in New York. Numerous detectives, police, and government officials were on his track, but to their greatest embarrassment, always failed to catch him. Quickly, he'd been named Kaitou Magician due to his cat-like grace and nerve-wracking ability to commit the perfect robbery with the ease of a confident magician. Luckily, it seemed that the robbery was the worst crime he committed, even though he did steal priceless items from imaginable place. At least there were no cases of kidnapping or murder. From what I found, Tomeo said, looking up from the stack of newspapers, Kaitou Magician follows trends, and most recently he's been stealing diamond jewelry. Previously, it had been sapphires. Hoi? I wonder why he's trying to steal my necklace. Sakura sighed as she put back the microfilm. The thief of the night seemed like a most strange person. Let me look at it, Syaoran said, looking away from the computer screen. Unclasping the necklace from her neck, she handed it to Syaoran. He held it up to the light and peered at it. When he first saw the star-like light bedded in the crystal, he had been captivated by it. It was a very unique and pretty gem, yet why would the Kaitou want it? Unless... Do you think there's a chance that this crystal might actually be a diamond? Hoi? What happened to the computer screen? Sakura pointed at the computer, which blacked out. Then, white letters began to form on the black screen. Tomorrow we'll meet again. Watch out then. Till date, I've never failed to get what I want. Don't worry, your little friend is safe. At the end, a symbol with the top hat facing forward on the outline of a full moon behind it appeared. The symbol of the Kaitou Magician. Then, the hard drive of the computer exploded. Blinking, Melanie groggily said, half asleep, Syaoran, are we late for school? Then she became fully awake and tried to stand up, almost ending up falling. She was bound and tied to a chair. Warily, she gazed around her surroundings. It was an untidy, small room with an unmade single bed at one corner, a tiny kitchen set in the other, a cheap desk by the side, and sunlight peeping through the windows without curtains. A figure was sitting by the messy desk, typing into a laptop computer. Seeing that person, Melanie felt fury and shouted, "Let go of me, you idiot!" The young man turned in her direction in surprise. "What?" he asked, turning off the music and taking off his earphones. Melanie found herself facing someone who seemed almost her age, or 1 or 2 years older than her, with light sandy tan streaked highlighting his spiked hair, and 2 strands of bangs that fell on each side of his head. Though it was inside, he was still wearing dark sunglasses, making it impossible for her to decipher what he would look like, despite a straight nose and a mouth which had a cynical curve to it, as if he could lie well. On his left ear dangled a silver fane earring, and again he wore the star sapphire ring on a thick chain around his neck. As always, he was dressed in a black shirt and pants. Taking a deep breath, Melanie repeated, "I said, let go of me, you moron!" Plugging his ears with his fingers, he shot her a dirty look. "I can't let go of you." "Why?" Melanie struggled from the ropes that bound her to the chair. In a matter-of-fact way, he replied, "Because I kidnapped you." Turning head over heels, Melanie replied, "What kind of reason is that? I want to go home. You bastard! Give me the star sapphire ring." "Too bad," he replied, yawning and turning his attention back to the computer. After a while, Melanie couldn't stand her curiosity and demanded, "What are you doing?" "There. Finish sending your little friends a nice message on the library computer." Strange. I don't have you in my people statistics data. Your name's Melanie, right?" Quickly, he typed Lee Mei Lin. Let's see, age 15, female, currently attends Seiju Junior High, grade 3-2, came from Hong Kong, enjoys PE and music, has a one-sided crush on Lee Syaoran, fellow clan member. The Lees are prominent members in Hong Kong. Personality traits. Pausing to think, Kaitou added, can be bratty, selfish, and self-domineering. Has a tendency to nag and whine and is extremely jealous. What? Maylin was ready to burst free from the chair. However, she can reveal a softer, nicer side to the people she cares for, he concluded. Raising an eyebrow, he asked Maylin, it's true, isn't it? Kinomoto Sakura tries to be cheerful and brave, yet generally is too innocently dense for her own good, can be very confused with her true feelings, and blocks herself from straight, harsh reality. As for Lee Syaoran, finds it difficult to reveal his own emotions and has a continuous struggle against his inner heart and his somber exterior. Can be bratty and cold on the outside, yet has a truly caring side, which God knows when he will be able to show. Kaitou nodded as he ran through the personal data in his computer. That's not true. Syaoran's the best guy there is in the world. And even I'll admit Sakura is not that dense. Maylin stuck her tongue out at him, and he sweat dropped. Anyway, can't you untie me? It's so uncomfortable and my arms are numb. And what's with this crappy room? I thought the Kaitou Magician steals enough jewelry to live better than this. Just look at this small, messy, cramped place. Plus, what is with the sunglasses? It's inside. You know, and do you think you look cool? Why'd you kidnap me anyway? And he cringed as Maylin shot off barbs at his weakness. Shooting her another dirty look, he replied sourly, I'm sorry to say this, but I'm going to have to gag you if you don't stop talking. That won't be nice, and it's starting to get on my nerves. And I have to concentrate to try to hack the school system for the circus carnival. The sunglasses are for disguise. Then pouting, he replied, Anyway, do you think I want to live in this crappy room? It's just temporary while I'm on my mission. I'm just trying to keep a low profile since the whole police force is after me. I don't have a choice. You try being a thief. It's not as easy as it looks. After some silence, Maylin became more dejected. I want to go back home. Will Syaoran be worrying for me? Oh, what will Mother say? She'll call me back to Hong Kong for not being responsible. Syaoran was right. I should have just gone back, and I wouldn't have caused all this trouble for him. Slowly, 2 tears plopped down onto her lap. Kaitou Magician looked up in surprise. Why are you crying? Why do you think? I'm uncomfortable, cramped, and kidnapped by a top 20 wanted thief, and I'm hungry, plus I miss Syaoran. Maylin began to wail. Dismayed, the young man ran a finger through his hair and said in a gentler tone, Don't cry. Here, I'll give you something to eat. I'm sorry I kidnapped you. Really, just calm down. Take a deep breath. It's all right. I won't do anything to you. It's just for today, all right? You'll be back home in no time. Wait a minute. The thief's sweat dropped. What am I saying? Gradually, Maylin's tears ceased with an occasional hiccup. Then she ended up laughing at Kaito's befuddlement. Hey, don't you have anything to eat? Quickly, he concocted something up in the kitchen and set a tray in front of Maylin's lap and reluctantly untied one hand. Giving a sour look for not untying her completely, Maylin dug into the steaming stew with her right free hand. Then she commented, Ew! You call this food? This is disgusting. Hey, I'm a thief, not a cook. Take it or leave it. That's the best I can make. Be thankful you have something to eat. Though he tried to shrug carelessly, the Kaitou still stared at his own bowl of food with contempt. Syaoran is 1,000 times better than you. Then Maylin exclaimed, I know what we can do. If you untie me, I'll make both of us something better to eat. I promise not to escape. Deal? Sighing, the Kaitou nodded. Maybe he was regretting kidnapping her in the first place. The Spring Circus Carnival. The Seiju Junior High students were readying themselves for the customers to arrive for the Spring Circus Carnival. The whole school was transformed into a dazzling temporary circus ground with cotton candy, caramel apples, and popcorn stands, booths to play various games and win various prizes, and exhibitions and circus shows run by the students. Everywhere was decorated colorful streamers, balloons, banners, and people were bustling in and out, dressed in various costumes and busily adding last-minute touches. The Kaitou Magician's going to make his appearance today, Sakura said, and we'll rescue Meilin. She began to stretch. Since Meilin was sick, as they told other students, she had to perform her gymnastics routine without her. Dressed in a tight-fitting, glittery black leotard and tights, which set off her slender lithe figure perfectly, Sakura looked more determined than ever. Around her waist was looped a shimmering crimson skirt, the same material as the cloth that was wrapped around the bun on top of her head. I hope he doesn't cause trouble for the people. Meilin has to be all right. Syaoran looked paler than usual, and Sakura knew how worried he had been. He was dressed in an outfit eerily similar to the Kaitou's. Tomeo had insisted in adjusting the outfit to be so, because, she pointed out, since the Kaitou will be running around the carnival, people will panic and all the students' hard work will be ruined. But if they think it's just one of the students, it'll be fine. At that moment, she was star-eyed and videotaped the two in their circus outfits. Oh, you two look amazing! Syaoran-kun, you look just like a thief. Oh, I don't want to be a thief, Syaoran protested. Come on, you guys. What are you doing? People are going to be arriving soon, Chiharu called in her clown outfit, matching with Takashi's. The day went by relatively smoothly, with people admiring Sakura's acrobat skills, laughing over the clown's stunts and jokes, and awing at the magician's tricks. To Syaoran's relief, he managed to pull off the flower magic with ease, and everyone clapped at his knife throwing. Eran was amazed at how much Syaoran had improved, though. He asked Sakura in astonishment, what happened to him? Sakura just smiled. In between a break, Sakura whispered, when will he show up? It was late afternoon. Shaking his head, Syaoran looked down, thinking about Meilin. Sympathetically, Sakura patted his shoulder. She had never seen him look so discouraged before. Don't worry. After tonight, everything will be all right. Ironically, Sakura smiled as she said this. Since when was she cheering Syaoran up? Then they heard a little boy crying. Quickly, Sakura ran up to him and asked, why are you crying? A mean clown stole my balloon! He replied in between sobs. Here, I'll give you another balloon, all right? Sakura quickly gave another balloon to the boy, who ran off happily to his friends. Then she nodded to Syaoran. The Joker was striking once more. Oh, what perfect timing. You are not locking me in here, Meilin wailed, wriggling against the ropes. It was a school prop storeroom. I'm sorry, but I gotta start my show. Just wait here patiently and you'll get rescued in no time. Don't think about escaping, though. I'll know where you are. Laughing and ignoring Meilin's shrieks, the Kaitou Magician swept out. Vainly, Meilin stared reproachfully at a thin wire bracelet around her wrist. It was pretty, but the Kaitou Magician had fastened it around her wrist because it contained a microchip, which enabled him to track where she was with his portable, foldable computer. Plus, it was impossible to take off. Wait! Don't leave me! Her ruby amber eyes turned round as she saw a smiling clown with a jester's three-cornered head emerge from the shadows. No! A note floated from the sky, and Sakura caught it. Meet me at the clock tower in 5 minutes. KT. Kaitou Magician! Sakura looked up at the clock tower, the center building of Seiju Junior High. Kaitou Magician, where? Nako asked, her eyes round. I said, can't go to the magic show. Sakura warmed out of the crowd. Too bad that at that moment, Syaoran was on stage for the magic show. Standing at the bottom of the tower, she gazed up. It was early evening, and the sky was dusky. The Kaitou Magician's cloak blew in the wind as he stood at the very top. What did you do with Mei Lin-chan? Sakura demanded. At that moment, she heard a girl's shriek. The Joker! To everyone's surprise, a real girl was tied to the knife-throwing board at one end of the stage. The audience of the outdoor stage magic show all bolted up with enthusiasm. At the opposite end of the stage stood a clown dressed in gaudy colors. A row of sharp knives were set in front of him, different from the harmless school prop knives that Syaoran had used. With exaggerated clumsiness, the clown darted it at the girl, barely missing her right arm. She shrieked. People in the crowd laughed, thinking it was a part of the show. Meilin! From behind the outdoor stage, Syaoran burst through the crowd of people. The girl, with both her arms and legs tied to the board, wriggled and shouted, Syaoran! Tears brimmed in her eyes. She was safe now that Syaoran was here. Syaoran wouldn't let the Joker harm her. Silently, Syaoran cursed. He couldn't do anything in front of the crowd. He'd have to let everyone think it's a part of the show. From backstage, he slammed his sword into the card he borrowed from Sakura. Flowery! A gust of flower petals blew onto the stage, temporarily blinding the Joker, while everyone else admired. Quickly, grabbing 4 knives, Syaoran flicked them out with dead accuracy, each of them slicing off the rope, tying Meilin's arms and legs to the board. She crumpled to the floor. The audience clapped in awe. Deftly jumping on stage, Syaoran ran to Meilin, who squeezed him into a tight hug. Oh, Syaoran, you're finally here. Embarrassed, Syaoran turned red. Syaoran, watch out behind you! Sakura, who was running towards the outdoor stage, called as she saw the Joker had recovered and began to throw more knives in his direction. Quickly, he grabbed the knife card, the first card that Sakura had made when he returned to Japan. Throwing the magic knives at the Joker, he knocked it out of balance. Students cheered. As Sakura sighed in relief, she spotted a shadow above the stage. In the chaos, she'd completely forgotten that the Kaitou Magician was on the loose. Quickly, she darted onto the stage with a cartwheel and somersault. Again, there was a roaring from the audience. This was the best and strangest magic show they had ever seen. Told you I'd come back for the necklace, the thief drawled. I'll never give it to you, Sakura replied defiantly. Well then, I'll have to take it the hard way. That's okay. The more challenging it is, the more fun I have. With a snap of Kaito's hands, all the spotlights and lamps flicked off on the school campus. There was a murmur of panic among the audience. But they came to a consensus that it must all be a part of the enthralling show. You won't get away this time, Meilin exclaimed, letting out several rapid martial arts punches. I'll get you back for tying me up in a cramped room and feeding me disgusting food and putting this microchip bracelet on me. Lunging forward, she completely missed the Kaitou Magician, since it was dark. He laughed a smooth, menacing laugh and said, You act too rashly, dear Meilin. Everything has to be planned beforehand and calculated, like this. With the smoothness of a cat, he crept behind her, placing his hand over her mouth, then jumped above the stage. So, are you planning on giving me the necklace or not? Meilin-chan! Sakura furrowed her eyebrows down. You play cheap. Let her go. She has nothing to do with this. Then her emerald eyes turned round. Leave her alone. Do you hear me? Syaoran jumped onto the stage and punched Kaitou Magician. Gaining composure, the thief smiled and replied, So you want to fight now? I play things fair, and while I'm at it, I'll get back my father's ring. Sweeping out a steel staff, the Kaitou twirled it and began some complex staff moves, quite similar to the martial arts staff moves which Syaoran had trained in when he was younger. Syaoran grabbed a wood staff lying around and came up with the counter moves before the staff snapped into two from the impact from the metal. Then he tried to block off with his arm. Syaoran grimaced as the bruises formed on his body, since the metal crate created a hard contact. "What's going on?" someone asked in the audience. I don't know. It's too dark. I think the two magicians are fighting or something." All they could see was a flash of metal, a swirl of midnight black cloaks, and occasional clanging and thuds. With one hand, Syaoran knocked out the metal staff from the Kaitou's hand, which clattered down onto the stage, and with his other hand flicking out his golden pocket knife, Syaoran slashed through the chain holding the star sapphire ring off the Kaitou magician's neck. Then he grabbed the ring and tucked it into a pocket. Finally, he had retrieved the sapphire ring. Without blinking a moment, the Kaitou magician jumped into the air momentarily, disappeared. Syaoran crouched down, warily waiting. Then, without a sound, the thief of the night lunged from behind him. Barely, Syaoran leaped out of the way and then returned with a martial arts kick, which the Kaitou blocked off. Then they began a series of punches and blows, blocking each other deftly, matching muscle to muscle. Yet, while Syaoran's fighting style was concise, straight, and resulted from years of martial arts training, the Kaitou magician's movements were sly, unpredictable, and ruthless. Fighting most likely picked off the streets and measured self-defense routines. Both of them were panting heavily, and finally the Kaitou magician lunged for Syaoran's pocket to retrieve the ring. Quickly, Syaoran kicked out his leg and leaped over the thief. For a second, the Kaitou magician's flickering eyes widened. Then quickly he jumped in front of Melanie, blocking her from Syaoran. The two young men glared at each other breathless. Slowly grinning, the Kaitou magician held up a glimmering blue jewel in his fingers. "Oh, give me back the ring," Syaoran said in a strained voice. Now, when did the thief take the ring out of his pocket? He hadn't even noticed. "What right do you have? You live your life to deceive and hurt others, stealing precious possessions. You're dishonorable and two-faced." Giving a cruel laughter, the Kaitou magician replied, "I'm a thief. What do you expect? Well, I don't expect you to understand me. I do dishonorable things to get what I want. I never, ever failed to have my own way. Now, all I want is that necklace. Or else, say goodbye to your cute friend." Gripping Melanie's arms, he pushed her to the edge of the top of the roof he had jumped onto. She screamed as her feet slipped from the roof. Instinctively, Syaoran reached out. "Stop!" Sakura shouted, clenching her fist. Everyone stared at her. "Just stop it, all of you!" Slowly, she gazed up at the Kaitou magician, unfastening the thin silver chain from her neck. Her eyes blurred. "If it means that much to you, take it. This necklace is my most precious possession. However, it's not worth all this trouble or danger to my friends. You must have a reason to want it so bad, so take it!" She threw the necklace up to the Kaitou magician, who caught it with one hand, the shimmering jewel, in surprise. His clear eyes were opened wide as he fingered the necklace. Melanie freed herself from his grasp and jumped toward where Sakura stood. "There! Are you satisfied now?" Sakura looked away. Syaoran, who leaped down to Sakura, said, "But I'm sorry. I know you gave it to me, but I'll just remember that you once gave it to me. I can't put Melanie in danger. He can't get away with stealing all this stuff," Melanie exclaimed angrily. In slow motion, the Kaitou magician sprang up to the clock tower, keeping one eye on Sakura's pained yet determined face. "I got what I want, yet why do I feel like I lost?" A painful frown furrowed over his brows. "I have never failed before. Never. I never lose. I'm the Kaitou magician." With second thought, he dropped 2 shimmering jewels down to Sakura. For a moment, Sakura held out her palm, staring at her necklace and sapphire ring with awe. Then she blinked up at the Kaitou Magician, who was standing with his arms crossed on top of the school wall. Why? The light switched back on, and Sakura found that she, Syaoran, and Melanie were standing on stage. Someone shrieked, "The Kaitou Magician! You mean the real one?" another person asked, tipping a top hat to cover his face, therefore preventing people from seeing his face. The Kaitou Magician said, "You haven't seen the last of me. Remember, I always get my way in the end, but next time I'll get what I want fair and straight, so that even you won't be able to complain. Don't think you've won yet. I'm still a dishonorable thief." He shot this directly at Syaoran, who sweat dropped. Then his cool eyes flickered to Melanie. "Oh yeah, your cooking's pretty good. It's almost worth the headache you gave me with your blabbering. And I did promise I'd get you back safely." The Kaitou Magician laughed. "Till we meet again." And with a swirl of his cloak and rose petals, he disappeared. "Ugh, you annoy me! Get this bracelet off of me!" shrieked Melanie after him, waving her hand in the air, the one with the wire-like bracelet, which was impossible to take off. "Huh? What happened? Is it over?" People all murmured. "I couldn't see anything." "Quick, do something!" Sakura nudged Syaoran as she felt numbers of eyes on the spotlighted stage. Loudly, she announced, "Thank you all for watching the final magic show of the Seiju Junior High Circus Carnival. Sorry for all the power failure in between. Now, the great magician Blade Master's last performance!" She pointed to Syaoran. "Eh?" Quickly, Syaoran fumbled with something. He turned his back towards the audience and slipped out 2 cards. "Huh? What's happening?" asked Nako. "Look!" Chihiro exclaimed, pointing to the sky. "Fireworks! Oh, how pretty!" Everyone directed their attention to the night sky and awed at the bright explosions of light sprinkling down in showers, with fragrant sakura petals blowing in the wind, thanks to the explosive and the flowery card lent from Sakura. While everyone's attention was directed to the sky, Syaoran whispered, "Quick, go backstage and capture the Joker." "You're a genius, Syaoran-kun," Sakura complimented and slipped away. Syaoran's ears turned red. The Joker, which had used up all its powers in the long drawn-out battle, cowered as she approached it. "You caused so much trouble for all the students and made me sprain my ankle. Maybe I should be thankful, or else I would be staying home alone. What am I thinking? Don't think of running away this time. Spirit of dark forces, I, Sakura, command you. Return to the new shape of contract. Sakura, card!" Whew. Sighing in relief, Sakura stared at the clown drawn in front of the Joker. It was basically a playful, fun-loving card that caused tons of trouble for her. "I wonder why the Kaitou Magician returned the necklace and ring to us," Syaoran commented on their way home. "I don't think he's really a bad person," Sakura said as she took the returned jewelry out of her pocket. Melanie added, "He's more, I don't know what to say, normal than I thought. Not exactly normal, but I mean, he's a thief," Syaoran interrupted. "But he's still a person, though," Melanie replied. "But a very annoying person. Oh, kick his butt next time. Syaoran, I can't get this bracelet thingy off." "Oh, I guess there's more sides to the Kaitou Magician than we thought there were," Tomeo commented. "I'm glad I caught the most marvelous moments on video." "I was scared that people might notice what was really going on," Sakura said. "I can't believe they all thought it was a part of the show." "Oh yeah, Syaoran." From her pocket, she drew out the ring. It glimmered in the moonlight. The star formed in the center of the deep blue sapphire, reflecting off in all directions. "This was your father's." "Yeah, but he gave it to your mother," Syaoran replied, bending over to see the beauty of the ring closer. Sakura smiled. "Still, it's yours. You can have it." "But..." "It's okay. Here, I'll hang it threw the chain around your neck, just like your father wore it. Remember in Shin-san's painting? Moving closer to Syaoran, Sakura unhooked a silver necklace she had hung around her neck and slipped the ring through it. Then she fastened it around Syaoran's neck. There! Picking up the ring from around his neck, Syaoran blushed and mumbled, Thanks. Oh, Father, somehow I feel closer to you. Somehow I feel as if we haven't seen the last of the Kaitou Magician, Malin said, interrupting the serene mood. Pretty sure he's going to get his way in the end. From the top of the roof, the Kaitou Magician watched the laughing friends walk down the street on their way home after the overall successful Seiju Junior High Spring Circus Carnival. Home. Well, he could go home to his little rented one-room apartment with its untidy bed, his untasty cooking, and noisy, drunk next-door neighbor. He could go home after the first unsuccessful night in his entire career as a reputable thief. Finally, he could get some sleep, yet why did his heart ache so? Was it possibly loneliness? Quickly, he brushed away the feeling. He only got to his position by being cold, calculating, and plotting. This left no room for anything else, not even his own feelings.